up on the Hooks In MMA podcast. We're lucky to have on 9-2 flyweight coming off a big win and got another fight booked here in July. Miranda, Fear the Maverick. How's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. So just talk about where you grew up. I believe it was Missouri, if I'm not mistaken, and what kind of hobbies you had growing up.
Hobbies, I guess, was on the farm. I grew up on a farm in Missouri, traveled around a lot when I was younger. My dad was like a real estate developer, buy rural properties, clean them up, build fence, make them into pasture land for cattle. And we raised beef cattle at almost every place that I went to growing up. Have had a lot of experiences, even in my youth, through different states of the United States and different ways of living. But farm life is kind of what we always went back to. And I've done a lot of work for a female and for the generation I grew up in as far as outside manual labor.
Yeah, which is fantastic. So in terms of mixed martial arts, was there another sport that preceded that you took interest in, or did you kind of come across martial arts and then evolve from there?
Well, we wrestled and roughhoused a lot at my house, and it wasn't just like the typical like grab somebody, push them down. Like we learned a lot of things. We watched UFC as I was growing up, and my dad would watch the techniques and then go watch YouTube and really learned a lot about those different techniques, arm bar, hooks, like the whole gamut. And so he taught us what he could from wrestling with us being different and everything. And self-defense kind of became the passion of mine. I wanted to go find out more about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And so I started doing that when I was almost 17 years old, and then eventually went into MMA. But I had done a lot of sports growing up, to be honest. And my thing was always that I was the strong girl. You know, I always had the muscles and stuff growing up, had that build. But I tried basketball, I tried track. I did wrestling for a couple months, and then technically was on a college team of men, but never competed with them. I was already a professional fighter, so that's illegal in collegiate sports if you're a professional elsewhere. So I tried a lot of sports growing up, including like gymnastics when I was young, but jiu-jitsu and MMA ended up being my home.
And I think you made a good decision. Just speak to which gym you're currently training out of and the coaches in your corner for your last fight and your next fight.
Well, right now I'm training at the House of Muay Thai in Norfolk, Virginia. Within that is a program of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu called Norfolk BJJ. My coaches are primarily Jake Chamberlain, which is the striking coach and owner of the House of Muay Thai, and then Mackin Simmerzer, who is a former WEC and UFC veteran. So he's more of my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA coach. And then my dad's always in my corner. You know, he's that mental coach. He's the one that kind of inspired me into the sport and just really grows a lot with me as I go through MMA. Aside from that, I just have, you know, that's about it with the coaching side. Yeah.
So just talk about the evolution of Miranda Maverick. Like, you know, you obviously had an amateur career and then Invicta and then up to the UFC, what you've won 2 in a row now, Joe Jua and Jillian Robertson. You know, there's just been an evolution within your, it seems like your mindset and with your skill set as well. Just speak to that, how it's evolved over the years.
Some of it is age, honestly, like maturity and age. Within the Invicta ranks, obviously I grew a lot. You know, I had my amateur career that was pretty extensive, 7-1 as an amateur, got to where I was ranked number 1 across the Midwest for amateur fighters. And then it got to the point where Invicta called me up, asked me if I wanted to take my pro debut with them. I said yes. The rest is kind of history, you know, fought for them, got to 3-0, and then had my first pro loss. That hurt a lot. Then I won another, then had another loss, and that hurt even more, especially having them almost back to back. And after that, I haven't lost since. And I've grown way more. Like you watch the evolution of me as a fighter from my first Invicta fight to now. And it's just kind of crazy for even me to watch how fast I've developed. And I plan on continuing that same streak as I go forward.
Yeah, and I find it cool how you mentioned first or number 1 ranked fighter in the Midwest as an amateur, and potentially in the future at your age, where you could get to could be not only number 1 in the state, the number 1 in the actual country, number 1 potentially in the world. So I foresee that, and if you keep on the same path, you'll get there. So July 24th, Macy Barber. What do you think about her as an opponent? I mean, in terms of stepping up the competition, I believe this is exactly that. You're not jumping to fight number 1, but you're definitely climbing the ladder strategically. What do you think about her as a fighter and how you match up?
I think it is a slow step up the ladder. I think a lot of people, they talk about how she's overrated, but I think now she's getting underrated almost. She's a very young fighter. She has a lot to improve on, and as do I. We're very young. We have a lot of potential ahead of us. But Macy is one of the more well-rounded fighters that I will have ever faced. She has her striking gamut. She's more of a brawler, or yeah, that's what I would consider anyway. Just throws a lot. She throws a lot of power. She's very aggressive. She has a decent ground game, but I wouldn't call it one of the best. I think that I just got done facing somebody who's a much stronger grappler than her. And she has a lot of size and power, but that's something that I actually bring to the table, that she doesn't usually face against other girls who are more athletic or more physical than her. And she's not very good at fighting backing up. We saw that with JJ. Even Alexa Grasso was able to control her a lot of times using that. Macy doesn't like being bullied back. She's used to being the bully. And I think she's going to be surprised at how much of a bully I can be in this fight.
Yeah, that sounds great. Just in terms of outside of training and your job, obviously, what are some hobbies that you like to partake in?
I literally don't have any.
You must have some, like even watching movies or fishing.
Yeah, I go hiking. I try to enjoy outdoor activities whenever I can visit my family. I guess that's the hobby. I try to go home and be on the farm as much as I can and enjoy nature. But right now I'm so focused on school and gym that when I'm not at the gym, I work on school, and when I'm not at school, I work at the gym.
And school, is Old Dominion?
Yes, I'm going to Old Dominion University for my graduate school in IO psychology.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to finish up, we just have between rounds segment. I'll ask you a question. You give me your best answer, okay?
Okay.
Favorite kind of food to eat when you're not in a fight camp?
Chocolate and sweets.
What about during a fight camp?
Sweet potatoes are pretty amazing, and I still have chocolate milk on occasion.
There we go. Favorite sport other than MMA, but you can't pick wrestling.
I can't pick any part of MMA.
If you have to, that's okay.
I like gymnastics.
Okay, we'll go with that. Favorite getaway spot in America? It could be in the state you're in now, just someplace you like to go to that it makes you happy.
I'll just go with my farm in Missouri. I like going there, sitting by the creek, and fishing or doing whatever with my siblings.
Nice. And outside of the U.S., what would be your favorite country in the world?
Oh, I have no idea. I've always been interested in what Japan would actually look like, or Australia.
Yeah. Haven't been to either, but I want to eventually. What's your favorite kind of music?
80s.
80s? Anyone specific?
Not necessarily. I like Journey. I like I have more like playlists. I like all the Rocky stuff. I like that kind of thing. I'm a big classic rock fan.
Favorite movie?
Actually, I'm going to go back. Casting Crowns is probably my favorite actual band. I like the religious stuff too, but then 80s rock is what I listen to when I work out. Favorite movie? Oof. That one's so hard. I used to be a big fan of all the Westerns, and Searchers and Cowboy were some of my favorite with John Wayne. But now, I don't even know. That's so hard. I like a lot of the crime movies, but I'm pretty old school with it.
Nothing wrong with that. Tell us something we don't know about you.
I had and still somewhat participate in doing pencil sketching business. I started one when I was 11 years old, and I'm pretty good at drawing people, having realistic pencil sketches.
Nice. That's pretty cool. And then on the 24th, how do you see that fight playing out?
I wouldn't doubt if it's going to be a finish pretty quickly. I think I'll be able to dominate her on the ground, and I think I'll also be able to back her up on the feet in order to set that up. Awesome.
Looking forward to it. Any sponsors, shout outs, or social media before you finish up?
Yeah, I'd like to do the shout out for Instagram, especially. It's at Fear the Maverick _HOMT. You can also look me up on just about any of the social medias with my name, Miranda Maverick. I'm selling autographs right now. It's the last week that you can do it for a little while because I'll be busy. So go check that out. I have the instructions on there. It's really easy on my Instagram post. And then I have a lot of sponsors. You can go to the link tree and use like a bunch of different discount codes for cool stuff, whether it be for rehab, for food, whatever. If you live in the Norfolk area of Virginia, I have Clean Eats. You can get a discount code, and no joke, I've only been working with them for about a week, but it's like the favorite meal prep I've ever had.
Awesome. If there's one thing that I'm good in life, it's actually projecting talent. So
Yeah.
the reason why I wanted to chat with you quickly is because in a couple of years, you might be just too busy to chat with us. So
Yeah. Thank you.
definitely foresee a lot of success in your future. You keep grinding away. Thanks so much for your time today. And Miranda, Fear the Maverick, this is Hooks in MMA. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it.
You take care. Next up on the Hooks in MMA podcast, we're lucky to have 10-2 lightweight. He's got a big fight coming up soon here against Jim Miller, and he's from New Jersey. And looking forward to talking with him today. Joe Solecki, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going great, man. Just up here in Gastonia, North Carolina, training at Gym O, and had a great day. And they're talking to you, man. Camp's going good, and can't complain.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the fight's approaching soon, and we've had a ton of success recently. 5-fight win streak, and your last performance out was fantastic. What ultimately got you into MMA, and how has it evolved since then?
Yeah, I mean, I started martial arts as a little kid at 6 years old. So back then, it's just wanting to be like, I literally just wanted to be like the Power Rangers, and just a lot of luck and weird fate or whatever you want to call it. But that was 1999. So jiu-jitsu is really becoming popular now, in the States. So it had been here like 6 years, or at least caught fire, for that 6 years. And the school ended up switching over to more jiu-jitsu. The instructors had transitioned away from traditional martial arts more to, grappling. And that's kind of just how we lucked out. My parents didn't really know the difference. We were still wearing the gi, and, there was some structure, so that they were on board for it, and just never wanted to do anything else. I never did anything else. So from then till, right now, I've been training, competing. I was absolutely awful when I started, but just over time, as I became a teenager later on in life, I started to develop a little more and started having a little success. And then from there, it was just, okay, maybe I can actually chase this pipe dream of being in the UFC. And that was, like 16, 17. And then now, I started fighting when I was 22, and I'm 27 now, been fighting 5 years, and I'm in the UFC. So it's going great. Some ups and downs like everything, but gosh, I can't complain.
Yeah, it's worked out well for you, and you do have a big fight against Jim Miller, obviously, a staple in the sport. He's been in there a long time. So not only is this, a good test for you, but it's also, kind of allows you to, stack yourself up in that division and in the UFC with names that have, that have done it before. What gym are you currently at, and who are your coaches in your corner for that fight?
Yeah, so I'm down here in North Carolina, and I train. It's all spread out, but I live in Wilmington on the coast, so I train at Salty Dog Jiu-Jitsu in Wilmington, North Carolina. That's my home base because that's 6 minutes from my house. But with John Salter, we have some great training partners there too. I got Corey Crumpler, and who's like our unsung hero. He's like John's right-hand man to get ready for all his fights, and just such a talented guy, and very selfless. Those training partners that give of themselves are very, very important for us, and I got trained Wyatt Hopkins out of there, and Zach DeLeon, and just some great guys to help me out. And we have a fantastic thing going there, and guys are always coming through. I think probably because we're at the beach, guys want to visit the gym, but also because we have some great guys to train with. And then I moved there in 2018. So before that, I lived in Myrtle Beach, and I still train at the gym that I was out of there. Mainly for my boxing coach and the sparring partners there that are more my size. Cause John's obviously a bigger guy, 185er. So that's at Fitness Edge MMA. And that's about an hour and a half from where I live. And I train there 2 to 3 days a week as well for my boxing coach, Chris Gowd, and with my sparring partners, Cody Jones, Jordan Weeks, and Brandon Hyde. And then, through traveling and training to fights, we found Jeff Jimmo, who's up here in Charlotte, North Carolina, or Gastonia, a small town outside Charlotte. And gosh, it's 3.5 hours from where we live, but it's worth every single week in camp we come up here because it's just worth it. Jeff's an absolute genius, and the guys that, are gravitating toward him and the thing he's created here in this tiny little room in Gastonia, North Carolina has been fantastic. So 3 spots we're out of, but all of our coaches are in sync, which is fantastic. They all get along. They've cornered multiple fights together now and are all friends with each other and train together. So it's been a great thing for me, man. Just getting the best looks I can everywhere I can.
Yeah, it sounds like a multitude of places to adapt and to gain those multifaceted skills, right? So yeah, April 10th, Jim Miller. How do you feel going into that, coming off your last fight? How do you feel like you stack up against him?
Yeah, I feel great. It's a fantastic opportunity for me. It's a guy that I respect. I'm from New Jersey originally, so I'm a Miller Brothers fan. I really like Jim Miller. I've taken a lot of stuff from watching him. The way he attacks the neck and the back, and all stuff I like to do. But that being said, I think I stack up really, really well. My coaches have a fantastic template in place for me to follow, and if I stick to what they want me to do, I truly believe I'll get my hand raised at the end. Just through a tough, grinding, grueling win. That's how it's going to be. That's what I plan for in every single fight. But like I said, going to the Hubbard fight, I ended up, where it didn't take that, but it really should have, based on the guy that he is. And it's the same thing with Jim Miller. Going into this, it should be a grind. Anything otherwise, we'll take it. If there's a finish early, fantastic. But I'm planning to have to grind it out. And the thing about him is he's well-rounded, so I'm planning on having to do so a little bit everywhere. So we're ready to do it and get the job done.
You'll be able to showcase all your skills, which is a good thing too. Ring time is good. Based on your last fight, you obviously didn't get a lot of it, but so just what are some hobbies you have, and do you have any family, anybody you wanted to mention today?
Yeah. So hobbies, I don't really do too much outside of training. It's kind of weird. Like my passion became my job, so I kind of just do that, and I love to watch fights. If the weather's nice down here on the coast, I like to go fishing, which is awesome when we can. But I like to spend time with my family. I've been with my wife 3 years. We've been married. We've been together 6, and we just recently had our first child, my baby girl, Nora.
Congrats!
And she's 6 months old, so it was kind of nice between fights. I was training all along, just like I had a fight coming up, but didn't have to travel. So from the first 4 months of her life, was there every second, every day. And now, by the time I got a fight announced, the last 2 months, we were in a great routine. So we still have it all, sectioned off where I get to spend so much time with her still, and I'm only really away from home just this Thursday night to Friday window. And then other than that, I'm there all the time,
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it's been so great. And it's helped me as somebody who's rushed through my whole career to try and get to the UFC and get to the next fight. And the next thing is like taking in every single day. I was like, oh, this is a great day. We get to go for a walk. Oh, it's a great day. I get to feed you your sweet potatoes or whatever. And it's just, it's been fantastic. It's really, I always thought I had a pretty good perspective and outlook and felt pretty mature in this game and in life too. But it's dumped it on its head. I feel like I truly am starting to understand what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, congrats on the baby and the wife. To be honest, right behind this screen here in a crib, I got my baby back there. He just turned 18 months, and the compromise was giving him some milk before bed here, so I could chat with you for a few minutes. So I appreciate that. So our last segment's between rounds. I'm gonna ask you a question. You give me your best answer, okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
What's your favorite kind of food to eat?
If after a fight, pizza, but otherwise, even since I was a little kid, I've loved like Caesar salad. Really weird. That's my favorite food. But if it's cheat meal, I'm going pizza.
Yeah. What about your favorite sport other than MMA?
I used to love basketball as a kid, but now I really, I really don't watch any. But I still love watching basketball. I think it's great if I ever catch it.
Yeah, and I've been to Myrtle Beach, loved it. But in Wilmington there, what would be a spot to go to if I've never been, which I haven't, that you would suggest to go to as a visitor?
Oh, man, you can't go wrong with the beach, obviously. We have great beaches. If you go to Wrightsville Beach, on a good day, you can, be up to your neck and still see your toes at the bottom of the water, which is pretty sweet for the Atlantic Ocean. Doesn't usually get like that. But other than that, man, gosh, we love a place called Sweet and Savory. It was on Guy Fieri's show.
Yep.
And super reasonable too. It's called Sweet and Savory. They make everything in house, all the dessert and everything. You can get anything from like a steak down to like baked goods. So, and I know there's not a sponsor. I just love it there. We're that passionate.
That's awesome. Favorite country in the world other than USA?
I've never. I guess I've been outside the U.S., but gosh, I'm Italian, so I got to say Italy because I want to go there one day.
Cool. What about favorite kind of music?
Country music. You would have never heard that coming out of my mouth when I lived in New Jersey, but somehow, some way, country music is now my favorite.
So that's my favorite too. Who's your favorite right now? Favorite couple?
Right now, I really love listening to Whiskey Myers just because it's always on in the gym, it seems like. My wife and I really like Drake White. We ended up seeing him by accident, had no idea who he was. And since then, went to another show of his before COVID, and we really like him. But then when we're training, I love Whiskey Myers, man.
A quick funny story for Valentine's Day this year. I did one of the cameo things. Have you heard of that? I did Drake White for my wife, and so he wrote up a poem and sung it to her, and she loved that. So
that's awesome. Wow, small world. That's fantastic.
Drake White's
We're
fantastic.
big fans of his.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So last thing, just a couple of fighters that you looked up to, guys that in the sport that were influential.
Yeah, absolutely. As a little kid, I really looked up to the Gracies just because everything I did was straight jiu-jitsu, and I was like, wow, like those are the guys. As I got older and older and got more into the sports side, like looking at the actual guys that I wanted to emulate and stuff. Being from the Northeast, it was like Frankie Edgar was my all-time favorite fighter still, and Chris Weidman was a big one because I trained at a Sarah affiliate for a long time. So I just felt like that connection of like, oh, like I can resonate with that guy. Like, and now he's actually training here at Gym O, which is pretty cool. I got to train him today, and that's pretty cool. And then on a personal level was when I met my coach and teammate and what everyone calls him, is my mentor pretty much, John Salter, back in 2017. That was huge for me because that was somebody up until that point, I had never been around somebody day in and day out who had been successful in the sport. I had been around guys that took their shot and kind of failed. And it almost was like sad being around them because you're like, oh man, like, is this how I'm going to end up? Is kind of hating the sport, And he's the first person that I really got to be around where I was like, okay, wow, you're an awesome competitor. You're an awesome guy, good family man, everything else. Like you're actually who you say you are. And you found success in the sport. Like there's a lot to be learned from somebody like that. So definitely him.
Yeah, it's great perspective. To finish off, any sponsors, shout outs or social media?
Yeah, I mean, I got a great team of supporters, man. A lot of sponsors that I really, really appreciate. But I just want to shout out Myrtle Beach Spine Center. I used to work for them, and to this day, I still go there and get treated every time I go down there to train. Just two great people, man. I really don't think I'd be in the UFC if I hadn't met them. They just gave me so many opportunities to go train, and they kept me healthy when, I don't have health insurance. So they looked out for me a lot. And I've gone into Dr. Mike with so many things and been like, put me back together, please. And he's done it somehow, some way. I want to thank my brother, who's actually on the other end of that in Wilmington, where I live, is a physical therapist. Conquer Movement. So he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but he also is doctor of physical therapy. So he kind of same thing. We go in there all hemmed up. He takes care of us, and we've been very lucky to have him. But just want to shout out everybody that supports me, man, all my family and my teammates, like we talked about earlier. And just appreciate you having me on, man. Really appreciate it.
No, we appreciate it too, and hate overlooking fights because I'm jacked for this weekend, UFC 260. But come April 10th, I got that matchup with you and Jim Miller starred up, and can't wait to watch it. I appreciate your time, and we're excited for you and your future for sure. So thank you, and Joe Solecki. This is Hooks and MMA. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, man. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too. You take care.